Okay, quick thank you to everyone on my Facebook page who went ahead and made my life a lot easier by choosing my next project. As you can see, Excalibur from the Fate series. Now, over the course of trying to find reference material for this one, I believe I came across the Fate Zero rendition, which is from the series that I watched way back in the day, about a billion years ago. Back when I still cosplayed, a friend of mine wanted to cosplay Ryder and wanted me to cosplay Lancer. The cosplay itself never took off, but I enjoyed the series nonetheless. Lancer was a pretty cool guy, and Saber was, I thought super cool. I thought it was a great idea to have King Arthur end up being Arturia Pendragon. And her weapon was actually pretty awesome look and abilities. As far as anime swords go, it's pretty simplistic, honestly, and seems like a fun one to do. So, like I said, over the course of trying to find reference material, it was hard to actually pin down a size for this thing. I saw images of her holding it at, waist height, at chest height, which could make it anywhere from about 3 to 4 feet. As you can see, I decided to go ahead and do a 4 foot rendition, which, as I can say, would make it about hand and a half sword length. Let's see here. The sword length itself, yeah, I forgot to measure that out, but I imagine that's going to be a little over 3 feet, perhaps. Hilt is going to be about 8 inches, same length as the handguard. I'm going to go ahead and do this as a full tang with a separate hilt piece going over the tang. That's going to be part of the blade itself. The little collar piece here I'm going to make as a separate entity entirely, along with the handguard, which on this you can see is just kind of two pieces hitched together. On this image, this is actually appears to be taken from something that was meant to be a metal replica of it. I've bought swords like these in the past. I'm not going to deny it. And I'm not overly fond with what I'm seeing here. This looks kind of chintzy, honestly. No offense to the fine makers of this sword in particular. I'm probably just going to make this all one solid piece and have it slide up through the blade, as most swords like this would be. Having it be thicker like that does seem like the way to go. It makes it seem to be much sturdier method of doing that. Let's see here, and then the little symbols here along the blade. I'm gonna go ahead and engrave with probably Dremel tool would be the best way to go. Wood chiseling, is a lot better for straight work, but there's a lot of curved lines, so that's going to be much better to do with a Dremel tool. Hopefully by then I'll have got my Dremel stylus, which will make that a lot easier. But fingers crossed. So yeah, let's do this thing. Now, I am the type of person who has a habit of overbuying when it comes to wood. Got my pile over here, as well as my big old pile of scrap wood over here. And sometimes that makes it a little difficult to actually decide what wood I want to use. Now, these guys seem like they could use some cutting down, honestly. They've been leaning against there for long enough, I think. So, mayhaps it is time to go ahead and cut those down. Let's see here. Let's see. No, and I put the camera too close. Push that back a little bit. There we are. camera work is not for the faint of heart. How does one find themselves trying to maneuver around a camera? Let's see, I'm gonna find the center line first. Oh, neat. It's about where I wanted it to. 2.5 inches. Hell yeah. Sometimes things just work out. Let's see, 1/4 be the center line of that. Does not look like it would be the center line. I don't know why that's so deceiving yet. Put that down. It is absolutely the center line. Really weird how that works with my eye. Just built like that, I guess. Alright. Got a straight edge on here. Get that center line drawn. Can't see it right now, but I'm drawing a center line. Turn the camera that way so you can actually see this. Ta-da! Center line. Of course, making the center line so that I can make all the other measurements necessary without having to do math. Because as someone with a bachelor's degree in English Lit, math is my Achilles heel. You heard it here, folks. ARC cannot do math. Well, not necessarily. Can't, just finds it bothersome. If there's one thing about me, I do not like to be bothered. Let's see, about 8 inches here. Boom. This is a neat little trick that I like to do when drawing lines. I think I misspaced that. Now, others may like to make just 2 lines when drawing line segments, just to mark off the distance. I, on the other hand, like to do 3. Let's see if I can do this one-handed, so that I can be absolutely certain that they line up. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. Pro tip: 3 lines to mark off a line segment. Perfect straight edge every time. So pretty. Now, here's something that I forgot to account for, is where exactly I want to put the start of the curve for the tip. So I'm thinking probably that. 2.5 inches seem to be working for everything else, so why not stick with the theme? There. Sometimes you just gotta go with what's working for everything else. See if I can get on the center line here. There we go. Making my 3 line segments. Creating that commentary so that you don't get bored. Getting bored anyway, probably. Listening to me ramble. Alright, so there you can see the way so I can get my straight edge over here. It's way too long for this. There we go. So pretty. Geometry, another Achilles heel of mine apparently. I have a disconcerting amount of these. Okay, I had to go to the full ratio aspect, or aspect ratio, or whatever camera term that is. But as you can see, here's all of the markings here. We got tang, which I pulled in about 1/2 inch on each side, leading to the handguard here. Then this is going to be the collar piece right here on the front. If I didn't know any better, I would say that this is a claymore, which means I drastically undershot the length of it, but honestly, this does not strike me as anything but decorative. It's definitely not anything so practical as a handhold for greater use. Let's see here, so that will take place right about here. I wasn't, again, entirely certain how long to make that. It's kind of hard to judge by the picture alone, but I would say a good 6 inches from base to tip would be acceptable. I can always cut it down. Always be able to cut down. Better too much than not enough. Okay, then the writing that you see there in this area will go ahead and be put right about in this area, leaving a nice long stretch up to the tip. And now it's time to play with power tools. Put that aside for another time. So you see vibrating the camera. Let's see here. Alright, so now I've got my little gorilla tentacle, whatever it's called, tripod attached to my lamp here. It's a poor man's tripod, because I'm not spending money on that. So yeah, let's go ahead and see how that works. Alright, there we go. So, not perfect by any means, but I can work with that. I have a thing that I could use for larger sheets. I'd use this for making a straight edge with the Saber saw that I use for a bunch of apple boxes for a friend slash client before. Apple boxes are a film thing, like just standard boxes that you can put stuff on, and I thought it would make it easier, but it really doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't clamp as I was hoping it would. But yeah, and on the other hand, I have the strangest habit of trying to hang on to these little bits of wood scrap that come off of here. Anything that's even remotely like square, I try to hang on to. Like, as you can see, I just tons of these little bits that I just can't seem to let go of. But yeah, for square or not square, triangle or oblong shape like this, I can just ploop. Yeah, 3 points. And there is the sword blank cut out in its entirety. Yeah, not to toot my own horn or anything, but as you can see, I'm usually quite good at getting a straight cut with the Saber saw for the most part. Just adding the camera to this tends to add quite a bit of bothersomeness. Just gets in the way, really, trying to get that perfect angle. I don't know how a lot of you folks on YouTube do it, but there it is. Yeah, time to cut out some other things. Here we have the handguard that I've gone ahead and measured out as best I can. Started out thinking that I would need to have this at about 2.5 inches, but I realized that I could probably just as easily get away with only having it at 2 inches, because that's beefy enough as it is. I got this on them 3/4 inch poplar wood, about the same width as the sword blank, and as you can see, not using math forces you to use quite a bit of trial and error. This line here, I thought would be, this point, I thought would be correct in getting a good slope, but no, I had to bring it down about another, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, yeah, 1/2 inch. Yeah, if I wanted to use a protractor and math, I would be an engineer, but I don't want to be an engineer. I want to be an artist. Therefore, I must make mistakes, because I'm just making swords, not doing important stuff like building bridges and buildings and complicated machinery and other things, I'm sure. Yeah, time to make another one of these. this thing. Okay, so that was my error. I like using the bandsaw for things like the curved edges, but the 3/4 inch poplar is it's just too thick. That is not meant for thick pieces of wood. It's meant for thin pieces of wood. Like, thin things. So, yeah. Back to the saber saw. The reason that you see me starting and stopping so often is because my goggles like to get very foggy. I do not know why. They are quite tight to my face, so I need to stop every once in a while to clear them in order to keep going. My life.
Hold it there. Goggles.
So the reason I do these inner curves here, well, the inner lines on the inner curve here, is because the things like saber saws and band saws, they don't do overly well with inner curves. They well, they tend to jar them a little bit and kind of cuts out the life of the saw blades. So you put these little extra slots here so that they have a little spot where they can take a break and relax and maybe have a drink or two before continuing on to the next portion. And that's why I do that. Buggy goggles. still in? Yep, I am. All right. Good. All right. So there's one half of the finished handguard. Went ahead and cleaned it up a bit with the 60 grit sandpaper, get some of the rough edges off of there so that I can make another one. This is half of it. And I am not one who likes to go through all of the arduous task of measuring things and getting all the different readings and whatnot when I can just cheat and copy over what I did already. Remember, kids, winners cheat. Okay, both pieces cut out, as you can see. Time to glue these suckers together. The trusty wood glue. I've not always been a huge fan of adhesives. They have not been friendly to me in my cosplaying days. However, this stuff, it's like welding for wood, really, I've found. As long as you clamp it down nice and tight, it gets into all the different pores and crevices and orifices and whatnot, all those sexy wood words. Smear the goop all around here like so. Alright. Now my hand's all nice and gooey with the wood glue. Sandwich these boys together. Alright. And I did not grab a clamp right away. Yeah. Wipe my finger off real quick. Alright. Grab my wood clamps. You never have too many clamps. Never. Ever can you have too many wood clamps. They're just the best. Make sure these guys stay nice and straight together. Here. We got a little bit of leakage yet. There. Destroy. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Do. Yeah, nice and tight. Woo! Lava likes to eke out afterwards. That's how you know you've been using plenty of wood glue. But you also gotta wipe off your hands every time. Makes them a little gross. I do recall back when I was a younger lad, I would just delight in smearing glue all over my hands and then peeling it off once it got all dry. It's just become a bit of a nuisance. My, how times do change. You'll also notice that I didn't bother sanding down the other piece here. Still a little ridge there. And that's because there's really no reason to right now. The other one I did just because I could get a nice smooth edge on it to copy and paste the other one onto the other wood. But now that they are both together, I can wait for these to dry. And then I can just sand them down as one. Put a hole right there, right in the middle, for the tang to go through. Well, maybe the tang, yeah, the tang. So now I gotta wait for that to dry and find something else to do. Nope, I lied. This is still satisfying as all get out. Oh, so satisfying.